Hey there friends, welcome to the vid, and in this video I'm going to be answering your questions about DPDR directly. This is a new type of video for me, so I do hope you enjoy it, and if you do have any questions about DPDR or anxiety and recovery, then please just write them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them as well. And if you are new to the channel, then welcome. My name is Dan and I help people recover from anxiety and DPDR using either one-on-one coaching or the Freedom course, and if you are a subscriber, then welcome back. The first question comes from Jill Palmer, and she says, so I'm constantly watching YouTube videos or listening to them most of the day. Am I keeping myself in this cycle sort of like a coping mechanism? And I'd say the answer to that is if it's making you feel better, but you're not actually progressing long form, then yeah, it probably is a coping mechanism, because it's a lot easier to distract yourself than it is to, sort of put yourself outside of the comfort zone. And also, you've got to consider as well is that seeking reassurance never works long term. And the mere evidence of this is the fact that you say that you keep watching videos. So what you've got to do with reassurance, what sort of happens with reassurance is that you get some, it lasts for a little bit, and then the reassurance just goes away. And so you've got to go and seek more reassurance, which is exactly what you're doing. The trick here is to get reassurance internally, get that own reassurance coming from within, so deep down and you actually feel and believe that you are going to be able to recover, that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and that you are brave enough and strong enough to be able to get through this. The next question comes from Fine Goldfish, and this person asks, when you speak about your experiences with DPDR, don't you fall back into it? And that's a really good question, and the short answer to that is no, I don't. And the reason that I don't is because I've recovered now, so DPDR was just this sort of thing that I went through back in the past. Now sure, I can sort of think about how I felt during the time, but it's almost like trying to remember a dream. It feels so real at the time, but once you've woken up and you're sort of back in your normal life, you're just getting on with stuff. And most of all, you just don't worry about it anymore. And I think this is a big thing that a lot of people don't realize when it comes to recovery, is that recovery is a process. You don't just wake up one day and you're suddenly recovered. You essentially go from not recovered to recovered, and it's just a massive sort of transition process in the middle. And so when you have gone to recovered, you just get on with your life, because the process of recovery is just getting on with your life. When you combine it with things like looking at your behaviors, looking at your language, looking at your habits, all that type of stuff. And essentially you eliminate all that bad stuff, and then you are just left with you living your life normally. And this is also evident in the fact that when you are in Reddit and forums and the stuff like that, you never really hear from the people who have recovered, really. And the main reason for that is because they're done with it. They're recovered. They don't want to go back and do all that stuff. They're just living their life because it's not important to them anymore. Obviously, it's important to me because I want to help people recover, and that's what I do. So I am still thinking about, what I can do and how I can help people. But in terms of it affecting my life and me as an individual, it doesn't affect me at all. I'm living a normal, happy life. I still have the same anxieties and worries, that just come up through life, but they're not affecting me in the same way as they did when I was going through DPDR and anxiety, because I've mended my relationship with DPDR and anxiety. So now it's all just normal. The next question comes from Bosanska, and this person asks, can I recover when DPDR started after a trauma, childhood trauma, panic attacks and anxiety every day? And the answer to that is yes, regardless of how you fell into anxiety and DPDR, whether it is through trauma, whether it is through prolonged stress, or whether it's through anxiety or taking weed or having a panic attack or whatever it was, the road to recovery is the same. And Claire Weeks actually says in her book, Hope and Help for Your Nerves, that the only difference between someone who suffered a long time versus someone who suffered a short time is that the person who suffered a long time has just had more time to build up bad memories. So you can use that as a bit of sort of insight and a bit of hope for yourself that if you've had it for 20 years or for 2 months, the road to recovery is the same. And when you actually think about it, it's not so much about what's happened in the past. It's more about what is happening right now to you. And I talk about this a lot with my coaching clients when I'm doing one-on-one, and that it doesn't necessarily matter what's happened to you in the past. Sure, we can talk about it, but the mind responds so much more positively towards the future, towards goals. And that's what coaching is all about. It's about you achieving your goal of recovery. And so we're always very forward looking. And it's always about sort of what is going through your mind. You know, what are you telling yourself? What bad habits have you formed? What is this bed of anxiety that you've created, which is now keeping you in this cycle? And so what you can do is look at all this stuff which is in this bed, and you can slowly start to take away, and you can slowly start to destroy and dismantle it and challenge it and question it and flip things over so they're actually helping for you. So all the things that all has happened in your life to lead you where you are right now, you look at all that stuff where you are right now. And then once you do dismantle it and essentially it evaporates, you have mended your relationship with anxiety. And so you're not giving anxiety the fuel it needs to be hyper so much. You know, it's not really a part of your life anymore as it is a part of your life right now. And then all the symptoms just go on their own. The next question comes from Diatas Rowley, and she asks, my nervous system is stupid. It likes this state. And I know exactly what you mean, but this is actually a bit of a inaccurate statement, because your nervous system doesn't like this state. In fact, all the time that you are constantly stressed and worried, your nervous system wants to get back to equilibrium. It wants to get back to normal, but it's all the stuff that's going on in your mind which is keeping it where it is right now. And you can look at your bad habits and, you know, sort of what you consistently keep doing. And the thing you've got to realize too is that when you do give your nervous system time to calm down, once it does reach that state of equilibrium, it wants to get there. And when it is there, it wants to stay there. And so when you do start to, you know, look at all the things that brought you into this state in the first place and then process them, you are giving it not only that ability to calm down, you're giving it that ability to stay there, and all the tools and the skills that you're going to learn to get you to that point of recovery means that you're never going to get into this state again. But the next question comes from Janoden, and I do apologize if I've said that wrong, but this person says, hey Dan, there's one symptom of DPDR that really throws me off. I feel like I've lost a part of me that would let me visualize memories and ideas in my head. I feel like I've lost this and my mind is empty. Is this normal? And to answer your question, yes, it is totally normal to feel like this. People can have emotional numbness. You can have memory issues, which is sort of sounds like what you're experiencing right now, and also even being able to visualize. And the reason that this is happening is because your mind is just so preoccupied with other stuff right now. And so the more you do a habit, the stronger it's going to get. And so if you're constantly looking at what's making you worried and what's making you scared, then it's going to start to get used to that and get good at that. And it's going to forget to look for other things, you know, and that's why you can say, you know, you're sort of wearing doom and gloom glasses. So the thing that you can sort of do to help you is realize that this is just a symptom. You know, because the more that you stress about it and the more that you worry about it, just the longer it's going to stay there, because that stress and worry is going to be perceived as a threat by your mind, and then your mind is going to want to protect itself. This form of protection is causing the symptoms that you're going through right now. So as you recover, it will start to lift. And that person that you used to be and those memories, they're all still in there and they will come back, but it's just going to take a little bit of time to let yourself free up the space. You know, get rid of all those anxious thoughts, get rid of all that negative behavior and unhelpful behavior and language that you're using, and sort of teach yourself, retrain yourself to start looking at the more realistic things. And I'm not talking about just think positively, because if everybody could just think positively, then the world would just be a massively positive, happy place and no one would have any problems. It's not about being in denial. It's about realizing that you're not seeing everything for clearly how it is right now. And so what this means is that everything you see and hear and do, all the information coming in is going to come in through that negative bias, and it's just taking up too much space. It's not allowing you to realize that, oh, actually, there's all these other options out there. It's not catastrophizing. It's not always going to be as bad as I think. The next question comes from Shane Belter, and he asks, "Hey Dan, I just yesterday tried weed for the first time since my weed-induced DPDR. It was not a positive experience, and I was wondering if weed itself causes DPDR or just makes you highly anxious." So this is a bit of a misconception with people who have DPDR, is that weed will cause DPDR or drugs will cause DPDR. It's not actually this. The weed is just the straw that broke the camel's back. And so if you actually think back to before you actually got DPDR, you can probably pinpoint that maybe you were quite stressed for a long time, or maybe you were worried about things or anxious about things for quite a long time. And this just built up and built up and built up until it got to a point where you got high, got completely freaked out, and whether you had a panic attack or not, you sort of got into that state because you're just so freaked out, and your mind's like, all right, this is enough. I don't like this behavior anymore. I'm going to put you in DPDR and I'm going to make you anxious. So you have to listen to me. You have to start protecting me. You have to start changing what you're doing, because that stress and anxiety that I was just sort of slowly giving to you over the weeks or months, that wasn't working. So now what? You know what? Now I'm going to force you to listen to me. And that's exactly what has happened here. So weed in itself doesn't actually cause DPDR, but it can make you anxious, which on top of everything else that's been happening to you, lead you to go over the tipping point, so you do have DPDR. And sort of your comment around, does weed just make you highly anxious anyway, it really just depends on the person. Like some people love it and it just completely calms them. Some people, they find as soon as they have it, their heart starts racing and they just can't wait for it to wear off. So it's really down to you about what choices you want to make about whether you want to have it or not. And so my friends, that's the end of the video. I really hope you did enjoy it. And if you do want to see more videos like this, then please let me know in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.